We all been there when we're like, man, if only I could make money doing what I like, that would be so awesome. Too bad it's a low chance. Too bad it's not for me. I remember when I was in New York, I was about to go and speak at NYU, and I was talking to this student, really intelligent guy, and he was like talking about how he really wants to work in the video game industry, but there's not that much money, but this and that. And this was about, I don't know, like 9 years ago or so. So at the time, it's not like how it is today. I mean, video games were still making a fuck ton of money, but now, I mean, you got kids winning competitions and, you know, making 2 mil for the first place prize and all that stuff. It's crazy, right? But it wasn't like that back then. So he had a really negative, low self-esteem view about all this shit. And I'm all like, bro, like, not everybody can come to NYU. Not everyone is as smart as you. You have such a low sense of self. And you know what your dream is. Your dream is to work in the video game industry. Why do you even ask me any question? You're just an asshole, because you're telling me your dream and I'm giving you all the solutions. I'm saying, yeah, why don't you just go and work here? Why don't you do this? Why don't you apply for an internship? And he goes, but it doesn't make any money. It doesn't do this and do that. And I'm like, after a while, I started getting mad. I started getting frustrated because I was like, why are you asking me any questions in the first place if you already know your own answer? Do you want to vent? What do you want to do? And then he had no response. What most people do is they like to just complain without knowing that they're actually complaining. And we all been there. We all done this. We all have a hope and we all like to talk about our dreams and wishes and we talk ourselves out of it, right? But today, it's not about doing that. Today, it's challenging our minds to actually accept our desires and to actually go, maybe, you know, this dream can come true. And unless we do that and unless we start inviting the possibilities, we'll never get there. If we're always making excuses and complaining and also making sure that we self-sabotage, that's the key word, self-sabotage. You excuse yourself, you fail before you even start. You start saying, I wish I worked in video games, but it's too hard, but it's too this, but it's too whatever. As long as you have that, then you'll never get to where you want to go. And I don't know where that guy is today, but I kind of feel bad for the dude because he had all the right tools, highly intelligent, you know, he's going to a great school. The only thing he lacked was confidence. And that's most people's cases. I think in most people's cases, like, a lot of people are very capable of learning, of doing. They're very creative. They can do a lot of stuff, but no one really believes in themselves. And that's the number one thing that holds people back. So what I want you to do today to finish off your list, wow, it's like we have 90 things written down. Isn't that freaking crazy? So the last 10 things is going to be writing down the things you wish you made money doing. And if you have more than 10 things, by all means, go for it. Just go. Throughout the years, I've collected a ton of things that I do passionately, but I also turn it into a business or a side hustle, or I make money off of it because it all started when I wanted to sustain a certain lifestyle. For example, like for JK, right? When I started making skits and all that stuff, we needed to get cameras, we needed to get people to help us. So all of that money was put right back into the business so I could create and do things that I wanted to do. And I also want you to ask yourself the question, would you rather make $80,000 a year doing something that's unfulfilling, stressful, you don't like your coworkers, all that? Or would you rather make $50,000 a year, but you absolutely love the work that you do? Now, to me, I would always take the lower amount of money for something that I love to do. And so I know myself, I can make more. I can make a lot more. I can do a lot more things, but I don't want to, because over the years, I suffered burnout. I suffered overwork. I suffered not knowing how to say no. I just kept making more and more. One of the most depressing times of my life is when I had over $250,000 in my bank account and I was on paper, had a lot of great things going, right? For me, I had a girlfriend, I had an apartment, I had 2 cars, I had all this stuff going for me, and I had even more money in investments and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I wasn't happy because I didn't even have time to spend this money. I didn't even have time to spend with friends. I didn't even have time. I bought more guns than I went to the shooting range. And then I had to dial it back, and I had to realize maybe this isn't the right way. Maybe just continuously working is actually turning me into a slave of my passion. Now, there comes a time when doing too much of your passionate work turns into something where it's kind of toxic. So everything has to be a balance. And so going back, yes, I would 100% choose the less, but with the balance, with the love, with the enjoyment, with everything, than just hustling. There's a lot of other things that can give you value in life than just a lot of money and hustling really hard and working on your passions and stuff like that. This program isn't about that, and none of my stuff that I'm gonna create is ever gonna be only career driven or money driven, because I've been there, I've done that, and I think most people out there that are preaching that bullshit, or they themselves don't even know what it's really like to run businesses and to actually live your passion and all that. And there's different phases and stages that you go through. But for me, I always say you gotta have a balanced life that saves your mental health. And also, at the end of the day, what's the point of being rich if you're lonely and you don't have your sanity? But aside from all that, the journey's really fun. I know I went to a crazy place, but at the end of the day, I will never ever go back to doing something that I never wanted to do. You know what? I'll still gladly go through all the business stresses that I went through. I went through almost 3 bankruptcies. I went through a lot of shit, people. So from like drama to whatever, but I will never ever freaking change that, because that was exciting. Life being a roller coaster was so freaking amazing compared to just being at home and like wondering about life and wishing about life. Living the life, even though it was full of sometimes pain, there was a lot of wins and gains and sharing awesome moments with people. And when you struggle with people, you have a lot of stories and bonding to go back to. And also like living the dream, building a whole business with my friends who turned into family, all that shit. That is what I live for. And you can too. So when you're writing these 10 things, think about it with no limitations. What would you like to do for a living? Any fun project, anything. If you could make money off of this, why not? Just write those things down right now. Go for it.